Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Creating Your Desired Life. I'm so excited that you're here to join me, Dr. Esther Graham, and I cannot wait for us to have this powerful, powerful conversation. Our theme for this segment is self-confidence and self-belief that leads to healing. I know that many of you out there have had to go through, or let's just say in your journey, where you've had to go through areas to where you absolutely needed healing. I know for me, there was a lot of healing that I had to do to really begin to own who I really am as a person, who God really created me to be. And so I'm super excited to talk about the journey of healing and the journey in having the confidence in yourself. Certainty. I believe certainty even goes to the next level, a deeper level, let's say, than confidence. But just knowing that you can be healed and believing that you have that power. Right? That, we can heal ourselves. Many times we look to God or we look to someone else, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we are the ones that really have the power to really begin that healing process. And I say that because I remember times in my own life, in my own story, where I just really had to take my power back. I really had to rescue myself because no one else was going to do it for me. And it appeared as if people sometimes didn't even really care that I was hurting and I was in pain. All they were really concerned about was their own happiness and their joy, or let's say from my perspective now, or what they were doing or going through. That's why healing is really up to you. We cannot ever depend on anyone else to ensure that we get healed. We have to rescue ourselves. We have to take our power back, and we have to become so confident in ourselves and move into where we are certain this is what it is for us, and believe that we can be healed. I have a saying that I am healed, I am being healed, and I shall be healed. And I say that because we're on this journey called life. And there's times that where we'll go through phases to where it's just a time for healing. It's a time for rejuvenation. And so in my own personal story, in the times I've realized that, I can be healed, they've been so powerful, but the process of healing doesn't come overnight. It's not like, boom, you snap a finger and it's there. You guys know that even believing in yourself, having the confidence in yourself, gaining certainty does not come overnight. You have to work at it. It has to be inner work. And I went on a journey of inner work to ensure that the healing came to me because it belonged to me. So I am excited today to have a powerful conversation about self-confidence and self-belief that can bring forth, that it leads to complete healing. So join me today as I welcome my guest, CEO Kimberly Kimberly Boggerty. I have a friend named Kimberly Moberly, y'all. So forgive me. But today we're going to dive into the transformative power of how we can heal and how we can grow. So let's begin to think about, get your notepads, get whatever you need to get out, and so you can write the nuggets that Kim is going to share with us. Right? She's going to share with us. Let me read you just a little bit about her bio. Kimberly Boggerty is the author of Get Your W.A.I.T Up, W-A-I-T Up, sis. She is not only an accomplished recording artist and a clinical trial manager, but also a passionate advocate for personal empowerment and spiritual growth. With her wealth of experience and insights, Kimberly will share how self-confidence and belief in oneself can lead to healing and transformation. So come on, everyone. Let's just welcome, show her some love, Kimberly Boggerty.
Hello.
Hello, 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 hello.
Thank you
We
for having me, Dr. Graham. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be a guest. And so let's just dig into it.
let's dig into it. So listen, you prefer to be called Kim or Kimberly? Tell me.
I prefer Kimberly, and I'm going
Kim.
to share that, along our dialogue and conversation.
Great, 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 great. So we will call you Kimberly. I'm so super excited. So guys, I've known Kimberly for quite a while. It's been a few years. We've seen each other in different surroundings and have communicated. But I not too long ago we had just a powerful conversation about her healing journey. And so I'm excited to share her with you because I think that all women need to hear this story so we can facilitate our own healing as well. And I love the title. What is it? Get your weight, W-A-I-T up. Now, you guys know, because this year has been my theme, it's time to re-up, up, up, up. And so I love get your weight up. And so, Kim, let's just start. Reintroduce yourself for me and we'll get into our conversations. Got a couple questions for you. I know everyone cannot wait to hear from you. So tell us, share a little bit about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just in addition to what you shared, as you know, I am a first-time self-published author. I published my book January 15th of this year, and it was self-published. And there's lots of lessons learned. That's a whole nother show. But I tell you,
Yes.
I was just, obedient in what I had to do. So, first time a self-published author. I'm a chemist by education. So I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, and I have my MBA and also a master's in clinical research, organization, and management, where I manage clinical trials. So that's my professional side. My personal side is I have three lovely young adult children who are now grown and paving their own paths. I am a grandmother of two young boys, ages 2 and 1. And, I'm just delighted to be on this journey now in my life. And so I have two sons and a daughter. So my oldest son is married with the two grandbabies that I have. And then I have my daughter who's in the middle, Shekinah. Latuan is my oldest, Shekinah is my daughter, and then Nadim is the youngest. And so they're all just paving their way. And I'm in a state and in a journey of my life now where Kimberly is exploring who Kimberly is.
Mm,
And
I
this
love that.
yeah, and this is just a journey, where I can look back now and I can say, "Hey, I've done that. I've done the work for that now, and I'm able to see, them explore their new journey and their paths of young adults and families and things like that. And now I'm just like, okay, well, now what is Kimberly doing? What does
Yeah.
Kimberly want to do? And God is just clearing the paths and making the way, and this journey to being a self-published author was one that I didn't see, but God had a path for me, and I was just obedient in it. And it's really just been a joy to now see the fruits of my labor.
Yeah. I love how you said that you're on a journey now to discovering, and I like to say rediscovering in some areas who Kimberly is
Yes.
and what Kimberly wants. And so, oh my gosh, this has always been like my theme. We first have to discover and rediscover who we are. Who
Yes.
are we?
Yes.
And then what is it that we want? And when we really begin to dive deep into that,
Mhm.
it just begins to facilitate or cultivate, let's say, this powerful healing. And doesn't it just totally change? Many times your perspective on things, your outlook on life, it just feels so great. It's like it empowers you when you really begin to dive into who you are and
Yes.
what you want, right?
Yes, it does. And my subtitle to my book is Rediscovering You Through God's Lens.
Ah, I love it. I love it.
And that's when you ask, do you prefer to be called Kimberly or Kim? And all my life I've been called Kim.
Hmm.
All my life. And I've never made a fuss about it or anything. But when, I was going through this healing of, rediscovery, self-discovery, healing, God showed me who Kimberly was.
Yeah.
And so now, I don't make it a big deal, but I do prefer, and, I'll emphasize, call me Kimberly. Um,
Yeah.
I was born with the name Kimberly. And so, a lot of times we like to do shortcuts and all that. And I'm not going to make a big fuss about it. But if you ask me, I will tell you that I prefer
Yeah.
Kimberly, because Kimberly now is walking in, self confidence. She's walking in, healing and just on this journey now. And it's almost one of my friends where I had an interview maybe a couple months before the book was released. We were talking and having a dialogue, and she said, this is almost like a rebirth. And the reason why she said that is January 15th was an intentional date because that's my birth date.
Yeah.
That's my birthday. I was born January 15th. And when God just kind of was moving some things and he was like, you're going to release your book on January 15th. And it was like a rebirthing, you
Yeah.
know, Kimberly. And so, yeah, I'm on this journey and I'm just loving it. I really am.
I love because you're using key words for me, the rediscovery of who you are and what you want. Rebirth. Those are all such important words,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to our transformation.
Yeah.
And so here it is. You're being very intentional, really, that inner work, doing the transformative work, you
Yeah.
know? And so I always, when I think about transformation, I also think about the butterfly and even the rebirth, the caterpillar that goes into a butterfly. And
Yes.
many times, we look at that and we think, oh, well, the caterpillar turns into a butterfly. And so I've heard so many different analogies of it. But when you look at that, it's really speaking to the power of a transformation.
Yeah.
Because here you are, let's say before you go back to being rebirth, to really rediscovering, you're back in, let's say, in that caterpillar stage.
Right.
And here it is that you go into the chrysalis.
Yes.
Right. And so during that period of rebirthing,
Hmm.
during that period of rediscovering, you're going through, who am I?
That's
You're
right.
shedding some things. This is
That's,
no longer me.
yes.
This no
Yes.
longer serves me. I
Yes.
am not this person. Kim was there, but this is now Kimberly.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know and it has such meaning, and so you're in this chrysalis, and when you come out of the chrysalis, you come out as a butterfly, a
Yes.
totally different, it's the metamorphosis, right? A
That's it.
totally, it's transformative, a totally different, let's say, being. And
Mhm.
what I love about when you think about the caterpillar and you think about the butterfly, when he comes out and he's now a butterfly, doesn't look back and say, oh, I remember when I used to be a caterpillar, because he does not.
That's right.
He does not. Right. He's now
A new
emerged as
nature.
this caterpillar. Exactly.
Yes.
And then the caterpillar doesn't look and say that I'm about to be transformed. He doesn't know.
Nope.
He just knows it's time
Yes.
for me
Yes.
to step into this chrysalis.
Yes.
How and for however long it takes. For the caterpillar, it might be 2 weeks. We know for human beings, it could be however long it takes
Yes. Yes.
for
And
me to emerge.
so true. So true.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a tug of war with me,
Yeah.
I'll say, with even writing the book, because um, I did not set out to say I want to write a book.
Yeah.
I never had the desire to say, oh, I want to be, an author.
Yeah.
It was in my transition and journey of healing, where I think we had this conversation prior to today, where I was journaling. And in the season where I was journaling, my thoughts, God said, this journaling is going to birth a book, so to speak. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it just, that thought, just kept coming, just a small whisper,
Yeah.
right? kept coming, a book, a book. And then I had friends asking me, so when are you going to write a book? And I'm like, well, what am I writing a book about? Nobody really wants to know about my life or my journey. Why am I writing a book? Why is someone inquiring when I'm going to write a book? And, everyone has a story.
Everyone does.
Everyone has a story, and yours is no less or no more than the other person. But when God has moved, I'm in that position now where, his voice is the only voice I want to hear. And I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to start out writing a book. But, I was just, obedient, and I was like, hey, let me do my research as a chemist,
Yeah.
have that research in mind. And so that's what I just started doing, just the analytical part of me. And then also, just tapping into, the creative side. There's a creative side of writing a book as well, and so I just tapped into all of that, and really just leaned on God to just take me through this process. And of course, resources, down here on earth, an editor, and, to format and all of that. And so it was a journey that I'm just telling you, it was just so exciting and a
Yeah.
lot of hard work.
But it always is whenever we, the call is never easy, but
Yes.
it's always worth it.
Yes.
The journey to healing is never easy, but
Yes.
it is always worth it.
Yes.
So your book has WAIT.
Yes.
So what do those letters mean?
Yes. And so WAIT is, get your weight up, sis, is, an acronym, but
Yeah.
it's also a play on the phrase that, get your weight up. So the WEIGHT, where we're encouraging somebody, where, a manager is talking to a boxer who's in the boxing ring, get your weight up. Hey, you can do this, encouraging you. So it's a play on that. It's a play on that phrase. The WAIT breaks down their steps. So it's a step on, how we patiently wait on God's calling, or patiently waiting on what's that next thing. And so what I'll do is I'll give you what the first letter is, and then I want the listener to order the book, right?
Yeah,
And I want them to
definitely.
read the book, because I don't want to give away what the entire weight is, but I want them to be pulled into saying, hey, you know what? I got this first thing. I can do this first thing. And what's the next one? To be intrigued on, what is this weight, right? And we, the human side of us never wants to wait for anything. That's why we have microwaves, right? That's why, we no longer have, those old fashioned cars who only went, up to 40 miles per hour, right? We want something where we can get in and we can go and we can be there, And so, there's a process in waiting. There's a perfection, in waiting, and so and I say to readers and listeners, I don't negate my faith, right? And so, I am a believer of Jesus Christ, and, my faith has brought me this far. But I tell anyone can pick up this book and get something out of it.
Yeah.
Whether your faith is somewhere else, you can pick this book up and you can get some tools, you can get some nuggets that will help you in your life's journey. So the W is get your worship up, right? We have to have there has to be a belief that, what, there's someone greater.
Yes.
There's something greater. You know what I mean? We're just not put here on this earth to breathe. You know what I mean?
Right, 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 right.
To
Agreed,
inhale
agreed.
oxygen and exhale. We have a purpose. And there is a higher being, that gave us this purpose. And so, my worship is vertical, right? And so when I intertwine with my maker, right? And I'm saying, hey, what is my purpose? I'm able now to have a clear ear, to hear. I'm able to see, the vision clearly. And it's when we realize that we're not on this earth by ourselves, and no man is an island. We need each other, right?
So
Um,
true.
and so so the W is the worship, for you to really settle yourself and say, hey, you know what? There's something greater inside of me. And I want to tap into the maker who made me. And so I'm going to worship. And so that's what the W is. And the A is linked to the W. The I is linked to the A, and the T is linked to the I. And it's just, I'm telling you, once you read it and you have a clear understanding, it's nothing impossible. It's something that you've already heard,
Yeah.
right?
And
It's
possible for everyday life.
every
It's
day,
possible for everyday life.
every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this waiting, what I tell readers is, this waiting isn't something that you're sitting back twiddling your thumbs,
That's
right?
right. That's
It's a
right.
lifestyle change. And when you get this weight up, I'm telling you, your purpose is clear. And so that's what I tell readers.
Yeah. So everyone, you hear that? You hear what the W is for. So listen, WAIT, get your weight up six. What is, to get the book so you can find out exactly what those acronyms mean, what the acronym mean, okay? Get your weight up, sis. So
Yeah,
here's my next question for you,
sure.
Kimberly. How did you navigate challenges? We've kind of talked about it, but how did you, and we already know one way with just the W, but
Yes.
just give us an overall, maybe a high level of how did you navigate the challenges like rejection and hurt and disappointment on your path to healing before you even wrote the book, just
Yeah.
as you're going through this journey?
Absolutely. And as I was going through my, healing journey, we'll start there, right?
Yeah.
Before I go into how I navigated the challenges, as I was going through my healing journey again, there's I think it's either 5 or 8 steps, to healing. And
Mhm.
we all know the first step is acceptance. Now, by no means, this is a disclaimer, I am not a therapist, I am not a counselor, I'm just someone who's sharing my experience. And so the first thing, for healing is acceptance. We have to accept that something happened. Right. And so in this journey of healing, I had to accept that I wasn't whole. I had to accept that I was broken. I
Yeah.
had to accept that I needed something in order to get me out of this rut, so to speak, right? And one of the first things that I did, it was went to therapy. I got a therapist. And in my mid 40s, it was the first time that I had ever had therapy, that I had ever had a professional therapist. And
Good.
and now I am an advocate.
Yes,
I will tell somebody in a heartbeat, have you considered therapy? Because
definitely.
it takes the sting out of, well, I'm confiding in my friend, well, here's my brother, well, here's my sister, here's my mom, you know what I mean? It takes the sting out. You're speaking to someone who has the skill set, of helping you go through, your healing process, to get out of that depression or whatever it is that has you stuck.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so I would say seek professional help, seek therapy. And that was my first thing. That was my first resource. And so as I started to go through my therapy sessions, and I started journaling, that's my next thing. So it's like seek professional, therapy, seek professional counseling, and then start to journal your thoughts. We have everything locked up in our head, and it can get so cluttered. And so as I started journaling my thoughts and going back, right, while I was in therapy, I went back 3 months. And I started to look at how I was feeling and where my thoughts were 3 months ago to
Yeah,
where I am now. I could see progress.
yeah,
And
yeah,
a lot of times, even the Bible says, write the vision, right?
yeah.
So let's write down. It doesn't mean we have to write. It doesn't mean, oh, let's write down everything good. No, write down what you're going through in your life and your journey so that you can look back and reflect and say, you know what? I did some work. I
Yeah.
did the work, right? And so navigating my challenges, that's where I started. I was like, I have to get into therapy,
Yeah.
right?
Did you find that that you also had to go back and grab that little girl?
You hit that was my next thing.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. And
Yeah.
when I say, rediscovering you through God's
Mhm.
lens, I had to go back to Kimberly, right? I had to go back to that little girl. I had to go back to that little girl who had traumatic experiences that were never healed. We talk about childhood trauma, but do we really go back and grab that younger boy or
Yeah.
that younger girl and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, let's heal together."
Let's heal together. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because now I'm in my adulthood, and some of the decisions that I made in my adulthood was because I was broken as a little girl in
Yes.
certain areas.
So true.
Relationships,
Yeah. Yeah.
how I parented, some of the jobs that I did. Everything connects. Everything connects. And so I had to go back to that little girl, and I had to talk to that little girl. I had to have a conversation. I had to have a dialogue, and I had to apologize to
Hmm.
that little girl.
Yeah.
And so many times, we walk through life
Yeah.
um, broken and not being healed and not realizing that you were broken at 8 and 9 years old and you
Yeah.
didn't know it.
And you didn't know it. And until it's really brought to your attention, many of us, we make lifelong decision based on what happened to us
That's
as
right.
little girls. And one of the things, Kim, as you were speaking, you said you had to go back and grab that little girl
Yes.
and love on that little girl and apologize to that little girl and said, so let's heal together. And a
Yes.
great way, if you're listening, a great way to do that is, when you go back to grab your little girl, get a picture
Oh, yes.
of
Yes.
the little girl or the
Absolutely.
little boy and
Yes.
then look at that picture and begin to talk to that little girl or
Yes.
to that little boy. And it's amazing how, as you're doing that and you're looking at that picture,
Yes.
and you're saying, let's heal together.
Yes.
Let's do this together. What that will do, it will take you along the path of being completely healed to where now you won't make decisions, parenting, all
Yes.
decisions,
So
you
true.
know, based
So true.
on what you experience as that child. So, we've talked a little bit and you've talked about your faith.
Yes.
Um, but
Sorry.
how even more, share with us, how did your faith and your spirituality, and I know, like, guys, I'm asking these questions, but I know who she is,
Mhm.
you know, but how did it play in your journey of self-discovery and healing? Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Let me just be transparent. I was mad with God.
Yeah.
I was mad with God. There when you read when the
Yeah.
reader reads my book, um, you know, there were moments, there were milestones in my life where something happened and it shook and rocked my whole world.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
and it shook. Can you hold on 1 second, please?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I have 1 second.
While she's doing that, listen, when she's talking about, there were things in her life to where, it rocked her whole world. I have to think about, and you're mad at God. I remember times in my own life where things rocked my whole world.
Yes.
Situation, life happens, and
Yes.
some decisions were making, all of these different things. And I remember times where I was completely mad at God, and I made no bones in saying I was mad at God and
Yes.
how I felt and why and why and why. And I thought we had an understanding. I
Yes.
thought you made a promise to me. Why is this happening? Because sometimes people think that, oh my gosh, taboo. No, no, no. I like to call it, I have conversations with him.
Yes.
He created me and it is me. And we have these conversations. And if I'm mad, I'm upset. And so now let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. So I can become whole.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, I realized, here's the thing. I realized that I was mad at God as I was journaling,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm journaling my thoughts, and I would either break out in tears, or I would just scream, and I said, I was like, God, I'm mad at you. Because of course, I was born in church and raised in church and all that. But at a certain point, you have to establish your own
You
relationship
do.
with God, right?
Absolutely.
And so, it was like I was going through the motions, and I'll tell you this, and I told this to, an individual who had interviewed me before. I didn't know how much, God loved me. He allowed, and this is what God said to me as I was journaling one day, and I was saying I was mad at him. And he said to me, it was like heaven opened up. It was like heaven opened up. He came down and he spoke to me directly. And it was like he held me as his daughter,
Yeah.
right? He's a father to the fatherless, right? And so he said, I allowed for your heart to be broken so that you could know how much I loved you.
Mm.
Times we're looking for love in the wrong places. And I just
Yeah.
don't mean that in, a husband wife relationship. I mean, friendships, children, everything. We can be so
Yeah.
codependent on another person. And God said, I allowed this to happen. So it's almost like the prodigal son. Like I hadn't turned my back on God, but everything was gray, right?
Yeah.
He said, I allowed for your heart to be broken so that you can know how much I loved you. So
Yeah, that's so good. So
when I
good.
put the pieces back together, you're going to be whole.
Yeah.
You're going to be whole again. And that's why you're going to rediscover yourself, through my lens, because you're Kimberly and I'm going to show you who Kimberly is.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when he did that, it broke.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I know we're almost at the end of this interview. I want listeners to know to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When we go back when we talk about childhood trauma,
Yes.
that's what I had to do. I had to forgive myself first. In order to forgive anyone else, you have to forgive yourself first.
Yes.
And so I had to forgive myself to be able to be in that position to forgive others who may have mishandled you, right?
Yeah.
Or who may have done you wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when I got to that point, I knew, I was like, God, I'm whole.
Yeah.
I am whole. Doesn't mean everything is perfect, but I'm now in a position where I can see clearly and I'm able to navigate, my journey of healing and forgiveness and just blessings. And so, that's where I am now. Like I said, nothing is perfect, but I'm telling you, my wholeness, and just the journey of rediscovering who I am has
Yeah.
been second to none,
Yeah.
really.
I love it because what I also hear you saying is that you had to partner with God. And so guys, I think we have just lost her for a second. And so I'm sure she'll be able to pop back on, but we're going to keep going. So as she was speaking, what I thought about is that, you have to partner with God. Right. Again, when life hits us and we go through pain and we go on this journey of self-confidence and self-belief so that we can be healed. The partnership with God is so important. And so many times when we're broken, honestly, not many times, whenever we are broken, that brokenness is a part of our journey that brings us back together and brings us strength. It makes us a lot stronger. And so we go through the brokenness serves a purpose, let's say. It serves a purpose as to what uh, who are we becoming, and it brings into view exactly who we are and exactly what we want to do and what is our story. Can I tell you that your story has power? Many times we negate what we've gone through. but our story has power. I believe she's back now, so let's bring her back
I
in.
don't
Yep,
know.
she's back.
Sorry
No
about
worries, no worries, no worries. I was just telling our viewers that, you have to partner with God in your brokenness, and you must this isn't a journey by yourself, and you can't sit there and say, okay, God, no. You said God, it was like the heavens opened up and God spoke to you, but you had to make a decision
Absolutely.
to partner with him and to go through the entire process of healing. So let me just ask our last questions. How can you tell our viewers, how can they cultivate
Mhm.
self-confidence and belief in themselves, especially during their times of at adversity where healing is just a necessity, right?
Yes.
How can they cultivate that?
The first thing I would say is make the decision.
Mm,
Make the decision to want the change, right?
yeah.
Make the decision to want the change and make the decision to want to change, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times, and it's work, right? Everything isn't, popcorn microwave, right? So I would say make the decision to want the change and to make the decision to change,
To
right?
change, yeah.
And that's where I had to begin. I'm like, you have to get to a point where there was a movie, right? I think we all know this movie with Jennifer Lopez. It was Enough.
Oh yeah, good
And
movie.
and so I and so I will say that, make the decision to say that's enough.
Yeah.
I want something different. I want to change, right? And so that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is tap into your resources, right?
Mhm.
If you know that you need counseling, start seeking, counseling, start seeking, a therapist,
Yeah.
they're out there. And now, they've made it so easy where, just like we're doing now, it can be virtual,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so I would also say to start there. And then, the other thing that I would say is start to journal your thoughts, because once you know where you want to start, right, and what you want to change, write that down. Write down what you want changed in your life.
Yeah.
And then go through the process of those steps to your next journey, your healing, to your next move, to whether it's entrepreneurship or whether you want that, new business or whether you want that new job, right? It can be anything, right?
Yeah.
But you have to start with making the decision that you want to change.
Yeah. So I said, let me just ask you just one more, because earlier you said that you had to forgive yourself, and it's so important. And so, what advice would you give our listeners, our viewers, on who are struggling to forgive themselves, or to forgive others? You know, what would you tell them in this healing process that they're going through? How, what's the advice? I'm struggling to
Yeah.
forgive. I'm struggling to forgive my offender.
Yes. And it is not easy.
Yeah.
And the first thing we have to, again, I'm going to go back to my faith, right? And so when we talk about, forgiving others, I had a conversation with a young lady who had a real life trauma experience. And she was the victim of it, and she could not forgive what happened. She could not forgive this person. And a lot
Mhm.
of times, let's just be honest, we just can't outright come to someone and start preaching to them, right? No, what God says forgive. That the Bible says. No, let's tap into humanity sometimes, right? And let's start to feel the emotions of another person. And so I asked this individual, and I said, are you angry with them, or are you angry with yourself?
Mhm.
And a lot of times we can deflect, right?
Yeah.
We can always point the finger. We can always point the finger and say, no, they're to blame, they're to blame, they're to blame, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes we have to do a self-reflection.
Yes.
And so when I say go through that healing of forgiving yourself, it's that self-reflection. It's that, you know what, I had some shortcomings, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, and that is okay. I failed here, and that's okay. I failed at this relationship, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we can start again. We
Yeah.
can start over. And that's what I say, as long as if you get up and you're breathing,
Yeah.
you have another opportunity.
And what we also have to remember, I believe, is that forgiveness is for us. It's not even for the other
Yeah,
person. It is
that's so true.
really, it's for us, right? And so,
Yep,
and when we don't begin to work on forgiveness, then we're really holding back our own
that's right.
evolution.
That's right.
Right. We're holding back our own evolution, our own healing,
Yeah,
and so it's forgiveness is for the individual. It's not for the person. It's for you. That it's for
it
you.
is. Yeah,
It's the inward thing. And I think many of us struggle with that. I struggle with it. And one of the things I would just begin to do that inner work. I just begin to go through the
yes,
process. I've got, I'm a Christian. I have my favorite scriptures that I read, but I
yep,
also did the work. It's not just enough to sit and do
that's right.
nothing.
Yep, that's
You
right.
have got
So
to
true.
do the
The
work.
work.
You have
Yes.
got to do the work. And what I did, as much, and Kimberly has recommended, I did the inner work. I didn't go to a therapist. I started to go to a therapist and it just wasn't working out for me. But then I found a powerful coach
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
administered that healing through conversation. It was just powerful. And it's that inner
It's
work that I had to do to heal and to forgive my offenders. you
right.
know but I was able to forgive them, Kimberly, because I forgave myself first, and
So
I
key.
realized that forgiveness was for me and not
Starts
for them.
within.
And when I
That's
began to realize them, I just was able to release. I
yeah.
was able to release and make decisions of where I wanted to go, how I wanted to be, and what I wanted to feel. And that is really it. And so, Kimberly, I appreciate you so much sharing your story. Tell us
Yeah.
how we can get your book. Tell the audience, how can we get your
Yes.
book?
So I am excited, right? So,
Yay.
as a self-publisher, again, it was a learning experience for me. Get your weight up, sis. You can get a copy. You can find it on Amazon.com. So right now, Amazon.com is the only platform. I will have other platforms towards the end of the year, but for now, you can go to Amazon.com. You can either type in my name, Kimberly Boggerty, or you could just type in "Get Your Weight Up, Sis," and it'll pop up. And so I have an ebook and I also have the paperback as well. So if you're one who you want to read it on your tablet, it's available. You can read it on your tablet. But if you're one who likes the hands, I'm a hand person. I like to feel things, right? I like to flip the pages and things like that. You can order the paperback as well.
Or you could be like me that does both, right?
Yes,
And so I listen, but I
absolutely.
also like the hard copy because I
Yes,
mark and I make notes. And as I'm reading, if a thought comes to me and to what is said, I'll write it down. So you could
yes,
do both. Here's the most important thing is get the book. Get your weight up, sis. By Kimberly Boggerty. Kimberly, thank you so much for joining
thank
us
you so much.
today. I appreciate you. I love you. And of
Love
course,
you
we will
back.
have you back. And I just appreciate you taking the time. Take care.
Thank
Everyone, let's just give her some love. Give her some love.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen,
Bye.
everyone, this is powerful. Let's do some self reflection with the nuggets that she has shared with us today. Such powerful nuggets. And as you begin to reflect, take a few minutes, write in your journal, where are you right now? And where is it that you want to be? Who are you right now? Begin to write down, who do you believe you are right now? And the person you are right now, is that person that you want to be? And if it is not, begin to think about who I want to be. Where is it that I need healing? What is it that I need to do? So let's just take a few minutes and let's just reflect on that. hope you just took a moment and sat and just reflected and think about where you are on your journey right now and where is it you want to be? What healing needs to be done in you? And so thank you so much for just taking that time. Make sure that you email me and let me know how you're doing on your healing. Make sure that you email and send me any questions that you may have or any celebrations you may have. Remember that start where you are right now and look at see where you want to go and begin to do that inner work. Remember to connect. Don't go on this journey of healing by yourself. Let me give you the quote for this week, a powerful quote. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. This is Theodore Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Believe that you can be healed, right? Believe that it can happen to you, and you are halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. What's the question that you have? So we have a question by Lala Gill, and she is from Newark, New Jersey. And Lala's question is, what does self-confidence look like for you? Ooh, what does self-confidence look like for me? Self-confidence looks like for me is just knowing that I can accomplish something. I can do it. It is not perfection. It is knowing that I can be healed. It is knowing that I can achieve. It is having the certainty. For me, it's self-confidence, but it's going a little deeper and having the certainty that I can stand, that I can speak, that I can be healed, that I can accomplish and set out the vision that I have for my life and that God has for me. It's being certain. How does the certainty come? Certainty comes by going through and being healed from the inside out. Certainty comes by placing yourself in an environment where people will speak into your life and lift you up. Certainty comes when you begin to do the work on you, do the inner work. Certainty comes then. When you have certainty, then that builds your confidence up. And by the way, I'm a firm believer that self-confidence is not something that you really lose. It may be misplaced. It may be in the back burner, but it's always there with you. Always there with you. Thank you, Lala, for asking that question. So let's do our quick celebration. This is an easy celebration because Kimberly Boggerty said that she self-published her own book. So many of us are scared to step out there, to publish our own book, to do anything at all. So I want to celebrate our guest today for publishing her book, taking it and listening to the voice of God, listening to her inner voice as well, and beginning to journal and saying, I'm going to launch out into the deep. I don't know where I'm going. I'm not even sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make those steps. Many times we wait for the big celebration, but let's celebrate those small things. So come on, y'all. Let's celebrate Kimberly Boggerty for self-publishing her book that's now on Amazon.com. Woo! Yes, 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 yes. And so as we close the segment today, I want to tell you how you can connect. Make sure that you come on to I Have Today TV on 360tv.com. It's also on my YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can always hear it. Everything is viewed. It comes on Facebook Live, Creating Your Desired Life, every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then it replays again on Tuesday evening, Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. I can't wait to see you there. I can't wait to see you watching. Yes, to wait to, because I feel like I can just see through, right? And so go ahead and subscribe, share it with everyone, and join us every Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless all of you. Take care. And remember that healing belongs to you. So go ahead, girl, get your healing, get what you need. Take care. I'll see you next time.